The newest Pokemon card set, Mega Evolution, has officially been out for only 3 weeks now, but if you count pre-release, it's been out for about a month, and we have some very interesting data to look at. So we're going to show you guys the numbers in this video, because if you're a PSA 10 collector, you may want to pay attention because there's something different happening with the set. I'm going to prove it to you guys. Let's just jump straight into it, and make sure you guys watch all the way to the end because there is a few interesting points at the end of the video as well. But let's just start off with the Mega Gardevoir. This is number 178. This is the special illustration rare. Now this card has been declining, obviously off of release slowly here, as you can see on the 1 month chart. It's just been slowly declining. And right now lowest listed are just over 300. So a typical, drop like this isn't surprising. This is pretty normal for what you'd want to see after a set releases. It's holding up fairly well because this is a popular Pokemon with a popular art. But it has been dropping at release, and we're now starting to see, for the first time, actual PSA 10 sales. So we actually have some population data to look at and some actual prices. So these are the last solds for this card in a PSA 10. Keep in mind this is currently a $300 card. All of the last 3 solds, all these sold yesterday, as of this recording, were just over $1,000, and you can see they all went for bids. So these are the actual sale prices: $1,025, $1,025, $1,030. There was one that went a little bit lower right here on bids at $880, and then another one at just about $1,200. Now, this is the thing where you guys are going to want to be careful, and maybe if you have one of these cards, consider grading, kind of thing. Check out the population report. So if you click on, you don't actually have to go to PSA's website anymore if you're on eBay. A lot of the times it doesn't always show it, but you can get the population data right here. So you can see for PSA 10s, there's 143 cards with 168 graded. That is a very high gem rate. And if you guys are like me, in my limited, mega that I have opened, I noticed that the print quality seemed to be really good. And that's also something I've been seeing online as well. So you guys are going to want to be careful. Not always does population matter, but just be careful buying these early PSA cards. You generally don't want to buy PSA 10s like the first ones that hit the market. They're usually the most expensive, and then they fall down pretty hard after that. But combined with that is just the fact that the print run is better. The quality of the cards is better. There was a lot of cards, most of the cards that I was seeing didn't have any whitening on the back. It looked pretty good. Now, obviously this can vary. Maybe I just got a good batch, but like I said, I have been seeing other people online say this as well. So I just wanted to show some of the data to kind of back this up as far as population reports. Now, obviously, some of the early copies, people that are going to pay extra to get these sent through faster, they're going to make sure that they have a clean copy. So there's a little bit of that factor to, to consider, right? The best copies are going in right now. So you have to have a little bit of an asterisk by these numbers. But this is what we're currently seeing for the Mega Gardevoir. We also have some similar numbers for the Mega Lucario. This is number 179, the special illustration rare. This card actually rose after release. You can see it was in the 270s, went over $300 for a near mint copy, and it's come back down just a little, just over 300 currently. You can pick one up for under 300, a few copies listed on TCG Player for under 300 currently. Now, PSA 10s, there was one that sold recently. This was probably a pretty good deal compared to the more recent sales, but $860 before that. 1125, 910, 905, and 910. Now, the population data is very similar to the Gardevoir. 137 10s with 154 graded. So that's just going to play a factor. This also is going to be a thing for the illustration rares. We'll take a look at some of those as well. The illustration rares, for the most part, from what I saw, looked good. The box toppers looked good. So that will play a factor long term. Not that cards can't be expensive in a PSA 10 with high pop. We've obviously seen that happen. The Moonbryon has a really high pop. The Van Gogh Pikachu has a very high pop. There's a lot of cards that do that. But some of the less desirable cards with the high pop, they're going to have a lower value eventually once this all kind of pans out. So if you do have a clean copy, though, there is possibly, you could grade your copy. Right now, PSA is very backed up. Keep that in mind. So if you're submitting at the lower tiers, you're not going to see your card for months and months. So, there'll be a lot of other cards graded by then. But if you already have one there, or you're going to pay for a higher tier to get it back, it might be a good idea to maybe consider selling quicker. And then when the price drops down, if you have to have that card back in 10, then buy it. It might be cheaper later. Just something to think about. There might be one exception that I'm noticing, and that might be the gold cards. So right now, this is the gold, the mega hyper rare of Mega Gardevoir. There's a lot of megas. Mega. So this is the Mega Gardevoir Mega Hyper Rare from Mega Evolution. Anyways, this card has been dropping a little bit. It was as high as $600. It's come down a little. Current market's at $578. However, you can pick this card up right now for just over $500. There's only 2 listings here. And then it goes back up to $550 and closer to $600. So this card has been dropping a little bit as well. If you look at PSA 10s for this, obviously going to be much more expensive. It's a much harder to pull card than some of the other SIRs we mentioned earlier. But last sold's $1,900 and $1,800. Now, if you look at the population on this one, this is where it starts to get a little different. Maybe the gold cards are the exception to that print quality. There is 101 PSA 10s versus 211 graded. So there's definitely a disparity there. You're under 50% gem rate there. So I don't know if it has to do with the printing of the gold, how exactly that works, or what that is, but there is a disparity there. So it's not just all of the cards across the set. Obviously, golds are getting hit differently. And then we do have to look at the Mega Lucario. This is number 188, the Mega Hyper Rare Gold. This one has gone up and down. You can see on this chart, 538 up to 700 and then back down to 578. Current market's at 578, but lowest listeds are all 700 plus. So this card's seen a real roller coaster of ups and downs. Now, PSA 10s for this card, last solds, these are all yesterday. $2,500, $2,500, $2,600, and $3,000. You can see this person sold theirs at $2,600. Buy it now. They didn't even have the card yet. They used the little reveal. This is the screenshot from the reveal. Anyways, but so demanding some very high prices. And this one's a little bit easier to grade from what we've seen. We will need some more data. Like if we check back in on this a few months down the road, we'll have a better idea, but indicators are still a little tougher to grade. 164 10s versus 267 graded. So maybe the Mega Lucarios came out a little bit better. We'll see. Those numbers could shake up, like I said, but the gold cards proving statistically to be a little tougher to grade. Next up, we're going to take a look at some of the sealed product just as a mega update, and then we'll get back to some of the other cards in a second. But right now, the enhanced booster boxes are falling. You can see, look at this, what's happened just in the past month. 290, it's had, once again, some big fluctuations, kind of like that Lucario card. 290 up to 320, down to 290, 342 being the 1 month high. And then we're down almost back to this 1 month low of 292. So these cards, or these boxes rather, just dipped under $300. Lowest listed on TCG, there's a ton at $291. Accelerate here has 132 boxes at $291. So it looks like the price probably will hold at this point for at least a little while. We'll have to see how much they drop below that $300 mark. So we'll have to see what happens as far as the supply for the enhanced booster box. Now, we are seeing a little bit of a drop in the Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes as well. You can see our lowest point on the secondary market. This is the Lucario box, by the way. 212 at release, and then it shot up to around 280, and then it actually has been falling off of that price. 280 all the way down to 247 currently. I think these are going to continue to trend up. The listed median price is around $321. So just a little bit of dip after some big growth. Nothing too shocking there. I would expect that these would continue to rise in the near future. Then we have the Gardevoir Pokemon Center Elite Trainer box as well. Similar chart, but it just hasn't moved up quite as much as the Lucario box. At release, 212 shot up to, looks like 246, 247 was the high, and then it's come down a little bit down into the 237s. But that listed median price of 314 is a good indicator. These will continue to rise in the future. Things may just be slowing down a little bit right now. Next up, back to the cards. This is the Mega Venusaur number 177, the special illustration rare. This card has fluctuated quite a bit as well. It was as low as $199.99, so $200. It shot up to around $230, and now it's back down to just over $200. There's a few here pretty much at that $200 price. Quite a few listings actually at between $2 and $205 currently on TCG Player. So this one's been having some movement as well. You'll see there's another card coming up that has more of your very traditional, just like slow and steady drop, which kind of indicates to me that most of these cards we're looking at right now and the previous ones obviously are the more popular ones, hence why there's a little bit more movement on it, and it's not just like that steady drop that we've seen in the past. But we are seeing some PSA 10s pop up for this card as well. Here are the last solds: 710, 720, 790. We have a 504 and then another 790, 700 down here. So pretty consistently in around that $700 range. Check out how easy this one has been to grade as well. There is a pop, PSA 10 pop of 46 with 55 graded. So once again, that does bode well for what we've seen as far as PSA 10s hitting the market. Next up is the Mega Latias. This is the special illustration rare number 181. Now this graph, this chart right here is what we used to see a lot more before this bull market, and we still see kind of the slightly less popular cards from a set. Usually very high right here at release, and then just slowly coming down. Currently this card went from a high of 254 down to 161. Lowest listeds actually are a little bit higher, so we'll have to see if maybe we hit the bottom on the Mega Latias. Definitely possible there. PSA 10s for this card. Let's see, last solds 821, 770, 780, 760. So seeing, this is a much cheaper card than the Venusaur, but seeing very similar prices when it comes to PSA 10. If we click on this, bring up the new tab right here, we can go to see original listing, and then here is the pop data on this one. 72 10s with 91 graded. So another card that proves that right now they are easier to grade than cards that we have seen in the past. We will take a look at an illustration rare with the pop report in a second, but we got to talk about a few of the other cards just to kind of cover the market update. Lily's Determination. This is the SIR number 184. This one's dropped. It was as high as around $200, dropped to around 150, and it's kind of been hovering there for a little bit. We do need a little bit more time on some of these cards to see kind of where they'll end up. All the lowest listeds are higher though, 167 and up on the Lily's Determination. We have your Emo Batman card here, Mega Absol number 180 SIR. 116 was the high. It dipped down as low as, looks like around $90, and then shot up to around 100 currently. So this one, a little bit more your traditional fall off, and then a little bit of an uptick that we're seeing currently. The lowest listed's around $97 currently. And then let's talk about one of the controversial cards of the set, the Marshadow. Now this is a classic example of an illustration rare, like a big pump that you want to avoid. Usually when so this card, keep in mind, this card does have a Pikachu. I'm acknowledging that, like, yes, it has a Pikachu. It is a cool card. And maybe it was undervalued at $30, but it doesn't really seem like it. There can be certain examples where, an IR was undervalued, but then it shoots up. But when you see a Pokemon, especially an illustration rare, there's been a lot of them happening recently with a Marshadow, for example. It's like, it's not that popular of a Pokemon. It really doesn't deserve this price. And it shoots up real big from $29 up to, sales were going well over the $100 mark. $140, $150 sales. But the average price right here was around $92. It's fallen off all the way to $36. There's a ton of copies currently listed on TCG Player. It is easy to pull. It is an illustration rare, so there's almost 300 copies currently listed. And lowest listeds are actually right at that current market price, but a huge pump in price and a huge fall off. However, this is where it starts to get interesting. People are still paying very high for this card in a PSA 10, 580, 620. Keep in mind, once again, these are the first PSA 10s to market, so usually the prices are high. As high as $700 right here. They have been dropping the last few, 700 to 620 to 580. And just to prove a little bit, once again, there's not that many out there. I know early data, but still data nonetheless. 21 graded. 2110s, sorry, 23 graded with 2110s. So high gem rate. Once again, people will be sending in the best copies, obviously, but just keep in mind that it's easier to hit. And like I said, all the other illustration rares that I've looked at, they looked really good. So just keep in mind, don't fall into, especially if you're a big PSA 10 collector, don't fall into that early FOMO of like, I got to have this card. The IRs might be tough to grade. It looks like they're probably not going to be tough to grade. So at least that's just what I've noticed from my openings. The Ivysaur, this is number 134 illustration rare. A nice card, goes with the Bulbasaur and the Venusaur connected art. Big fan. I like the style. A very traditional release chart right here, as high as $66. It's fell down pretty quick down here to 35, and then it's continued to fall into the upper 20s. Nothing surprising there. Very, very normal, very healthy too, right? This is normally what we see in the past. And then next up, I did want to touch on one of the promos, the better promo. They don't have an image up. I don't know why they can't pull up an image for this. Sometimes TCG Player is weird about that. They even have sometimes they'll have really blurry images and they don't update them. Anyways, this is the Alakazam Pokemon Center stamped promo. So this is the one between this and the Riolu, the one that I think obviously will do better. This one's risen in value, up 14%. It was 97, fell down to around 92. Now it's up to around over $110. Lowest listed right now are 105 and up. So the Pokemon Center stamped, I think this card will do well long term. It's an Alakazam and it's a nice looking card. So I am pretty bullish on this one long term. The stamps still have been doing well, although a lot of the growth on the stamps and promos in general have kind of slowed down recently. Now, with this card, we don't know how easy this one is going to be to grade, but there is, once again, there is a little bit of an aspect to consider when it comes to these cards in particular. This is the first one that I have seen as far as PSA 10s go. I can't find a sold sale, and this ends in 2 days and 9 hours, and it's already at $700 for a PSA 10. So this is the only one. It's currently up on eBay if you guys want to go check it out. I don't know it's through PSA, so feel free to go check it out. But another thing to consider, which maybe change the game a little bit, is a lot of people, including myself, aren't opening Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes because they just go up in value. Why open it? You have a big gamble on if the promo card will hit a 10. But if the print quality is much better from Mega, it may make sense to maybe crack some of those boxes and grade some of these early stamped cards. You see what I'm saying? So that may be a thing, maybe the tides will shift. And also, if that kind of happens and you have people opening the Pokemon Center ETBs to grade the promos, then there'll be less PC ETBs sealed. You see what I'm saying? So it's like a circular thing. And then, could shoot up the PC ETBs by, you know what I'm saying? So definitely a possibility there. Lastly is the Bulbasaur stamp promo. Now, this is the box topper from the booster box we mentioned earlier, from the enhanced booster box. You can pull this card non-stamped in the set, but this is one that I've had my eye on, and it's been dropping. I want to see how much further it's going to drop, because this is one where I wouldn't mind. It seems like it might be easier to grade. My one booster box I did open, my Bulbasaur does look really good. I'm probably going to be sending it into PSA. I think it has a very good chance at a 10. And it's just I'm not going to sell it. It's just going to stay in my personal collection. But, if this card continues to drop, I mentioned this earlier in the month as one I'm looking at. And it's almost there. I mean, I'm getting really tempted. You can see there is a listing right here as of this recording at $28. Somebody has 22 copies. And, previously the low was around 26, 27. So it's not that much higher. So I'm thinking about maybe picking up a few copies. We'll have to see how it goes. Just to potentially grade some. And, it looks like they might be easier to grade as well. We can see, though, this is the first one. Again, this is the first one, similar to the Alakazam. They are advertising it as the first one. This seller right here has the first stamped one in a PSA 10. I don't know why they say Pop 0. Wouldn't that be Pop 1? But anyways, the first ever PSA 10 for this card is up for sale for $500. So we don't have the PSA population data for the Bulbasaur yet, because there's only been one that's gotten through grading. So we need a little bit more time. I would estimate that it's going to fall in line similar to the other illustration rares, and that it's going to be an easier card to grade. So that could also be another potential play there as well. So hopefully you guys found that data a little bit interesting. Like I said, maybe a little early in some regards, but I think it does give us a good indication of kind of where the set's going, stuff like that, and just general print quality as well. I think it's good to know that moving forward, so you guys can be like ahead of the market, if you will, as far as understanding kind of like what's happening. And we probably will see shifts. I don't know if Phantasmal Flames is going to have really good print quality. We don't know. Looks like Phantasmal Flames is going to get a split release as well. I don't know if the split release has to do more with them like improving the print quality, and that's why they're like making sure to take more time. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't work at the printing facility or anything like that, so I don't know. But definitely could mean that Phantasmal could have good print run moving forward. So that would bode well, obviously, for those who are looking to pick up that Charizard SIR in a PSA 10. It means that hopefully into the future, if you want to get a PSA 10, you have a better chance of picking up a raw copy and grading it yourself, because statistically, if it's centered well, and then, obviously going on eBay too, you are able to look at photos and stuff. But, if you look and you don't see any whitening and it looks well centered, from this set, at least from Mega, you have a pretty good chance out of 10. Statistically, that would make sense. So that's all I have for you guys in this one. I hope it was informative. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the better print quality, because I think it's a good thing overall. As a collector, I want the PSA 10s to be a little bit more affordable. Maybe if the margins aren't quite so crazy, they're a little easier to grade. I think that's good. I like being able to have more cards in my collection. I don't have to have, I'd like to be able to get more SIRs, more IRs in 10s at a little bit more affordable prices. So I'm here for it. I think it's a good thing. But it is kind of wild to think how drastically like different the print qualities can be. Like going from, where you have Paldea Evolved with the Magikarp illustration rare that's unlike most of Scarlet and Violet. Some sets differing a little bit, right? But just IR is very difficult to grade. And then now we're hitting Mega and it's like, this stuff seems like it might be pretty easy to grade. So that's just kind of a wild how like the market can really swing like that. So we'll have to see the long-term effect that this has on PSA 10s in general. Maybe they go back to poor print quality for Phantasmal and the other sets moving forward. Maybe they're going to be more rushed. Maybe it has to do with I don't know, changing the blades on the cutters when they cut the cards. A sharper blade, cleaner cut. I don't know, but it will be something that will be interesting. I'll keep you guys up to date kind of on this stuff as we get more data. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, it was never a phase.